Welcome into the betPARX post-game show here from Parx Casino in Bensalem, just 20 minutes north of Philadelphia, following the Eagles' 28-23 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars to improve to 6-2 on the season, notch their fourth straight win, and also yet another game where Jalen Hurts doesn't have a turnover. And gentlemen, here with Seth Joyner, obviously also with Derrick Gunn. Just to recap a couple of things. Once again, fourth straight win, clutch touchdown by Devontae Smith with an incredible catch. Saquon Barkley, 199 yards of total offense, 2 TDs for him as well. Hurts comes up in the clutch. Vaughn and Dean come up with interceptions. Nakobe Dean icing the game with his interception in the end zone there off Trevor Lawrence. And Nick Sirianni still a dope. Did I miss anything?
No. When was the last time we talked about a team that was 6-2 at the top of the division and people wanted to run the head coach out of town? I can't remember the last time that happened.
When was the last time, and I'm really happy about the win, don't get me wrong, but when was the last time?
Here we go, but.
When was the last time,
Yeah.
Not just like game planning, scheme, whatever, but just decision making, a head coach cost his team 9 points. 9 points, and in one instance, physically taking a point off the board. I'm thrilled that the Eagles seem to have turned it around, but you shouldn't have to overcome your own head coach's ineptitude, stupidity, moronacy in order to win a game. Seth, it's beyond frustrating. I might have made up words there, but it's hard at this point to come up with more ways, more adjectives.
It fits
to describe Nick Sirianni.
It absolutely fits. I mean, listen, nothing can be easy for this football team. You go into a game playing against a team that you know you should beat. You're up by 22 points at one point in the game, and all you got to do is just take the points that are available to you at that time. That changes the whole dynamic of the game for your defense. But then you put your defense in a position where now they got to start defending, and now they're giving up plays. And a game that you should have won by double digits, you win by 5 points because you gave away, what do we say? Is it
9? 9 total points.
Yeah. 9 points. I mean, there's something to be said about being aggressive, but when aggressive starts to border on the side of stupidity and idiocy, now we got a problem. We got a problem. And Nick's going to come to the podium tonight and talk about we won the game. That's the most important thing, is we won the game. No, it's the way we won, and it's the dumb things that you did, and it's the stupid situations that you put your team in. When you lose A.J. Brown, who was a big part of your offense, it has a tremendous effect on your overall offense. So now you're playing even more stupider, if that's a word, without
more NC, stupider,
more idiotic.
Okay,
how's that for proper?
We just rewrote Webster's dictionary.
I'm just, you don't have to be that idiotic when you don't have the guys that you need to have on the field. You just have to do things the right way, and I just don't understand. Listen, when the fans start to boo because you're making bad decisions, and I've got to wonder, is Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman okay with the decisions that he made today? Are they okay with that? Because if they're okay with it, then that's part of the problem too. If your analytics guy, after you've done it twice and you fail, and he's still encouraging you to go ahead and continue to do it, that's a problem, man. That's a problem, D-Gun. It really is.
I agree 100%. Sometimes you have to take the decision-making process out of things that you allegedly rely on. Sometimes analytics don't equal common sense. The head coach tells us that Kellen Moore calls the plays, yet we know in this decision-making process today, Nick Sirianni's behind this stuff. How many times do you have to try to do? Why are you giving the opposition a breath of air to think that they can come back and play? We see this every week in the National Football League. There's at least 2 or 3 games where the deciding outcome is not what you expect. The favorites don't always win this. You don't play into the opposition's hand. Jacksonville came in here a wounded duck. No Gabe Davis. Christian Kirk out for the season. Who did I say was going to be the primary target?
Evan Ingram.
Who was the primary target today in this game?
Evan Ingram.
Okay, so the defense should have known that they're going to Evan Ingram. Take him out of the game, you got him where you want him. Okay, but you, time and time again, you had this team down 22-0. and you let them back in the game and make it a brown sweat. I understand you won the game. The bottom line is, I don't care if you win it on the fumble rooski. I don't care if it's a field goal hits a goalpost, goes in. The bottom line is get the W instead of the L, and they're still right there at the top with Washington. But come on, man, when you start playing better opponents down the road, you got to play Washington twice. You still have to face Baltimore. And you make stupid decisions like this in this game, and you let Jacksonville think they can win, what are you going to do unless somebody gets in your ear and stops you when a bigger competition comes up?
Well, the problem is that you put this on film for the 32 other teams that's in the National Football League and all the teams that you have to play on the rest of your schedule. And if you don't think that they're laughing at the idiocy of what you just did, and they're counting on you to do all of that dumb stuff all over again when they face you, and they're going to be ready for it. For some reason or another, the tush-push did not work tonight. You know, so line up in your regular formation with your hot tailback, this averaging 5.9 yards a carry, and turn around and hand them the ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have an off night. But it's the message that you send that, hey, they got an idiot, a head coach in Philadelphia, and we can count on him doing some real idiotic things down the line that's going to help us win football games. You don't want that. You don't want that tag hung on you, man.
How many times did Jacksonville stop the tush push?
Yeah,
3 times. I haven't seen an opponent stop it 3 times.
Yeah, at least 3. I want to ask this question for everyone in our comment section. Bailey, I'm also going to ask this question to everyone in the comment section, but this is what I want. What is more the feeling after this game? Yay, the Eagles have won their 4th straight. They improved to 6-2. Whoopity-doo, they beat the Jaguars. Or is it Nick Sirianni, our head coach, is an idiot? What best describes your feeling immediately after this game? Almost that you escaped. And one of the things that came to mind during this game today was that Nick Sirianni felt that he could go up against his Jacksonville Jaguars team and do whatever he wanted because they were going to win the game. Well, guess what? In the end, he was right. If that was his mindset, they could do whatever they want. They could continue to go for it on 4th and 1. They could continue to go for it on the tush push, on 2-point conversions, literally take a point off the board, not go for a field goal on 4th and 3 deep in the Jacksonville Jaguars territory, and literally get to the point where he took 9 points away from his offense that were trying to put up points in this game and then barely being able to escape. What best describes how you feel about this win today? You escaped despite your head coach that did the polar opposite of what every coach in the NFL does, which is, I'm going to put my players in the best possible position to make plays and have success. He didn't do that throughout this game today. And ultimately, fellas, what we always talk about, even after wins, if they're not pretty, or to use Jalen Hurts' term, they didn't play to the standard. It's not just about beating the Jaguars this week. It's about playing like a championship contending team. Did they look to that today? He's
sending the message that this is their standard. You know, sadly, that's exactly the message that he's sending, that this is our standard, and we're going to be aggressive at all times, even when it doesn't make sense. And oh, by the way, stupider is the word.
Yes. All right. Well, there we go.
Well, somebody in the chat said, oh, by the way, stupider is a word. So I'm just going on what he said.
Oh, okay.
I live by this. Trust the chat. Always trust the chat, no doubt.
I'm going to confirm it for you. Hold on.
Yeah, look that up. I want to see that. Stupider.
All right, while we look that up.
We have a head coach who's stupider than your head coach.
You're just supposed to overcome what the opposing head coach is doing, not your own. In all honesty, though, we'll cover Nick Sirianni throughout this entire postgame show, obviously. We'll try to keep track on everything that he has to say in order to defend himself. But when it comes to the good things that the Eagles were able to do in this game, as I started off the show by saying, I mean, Jalen Hurts went off. Another opportunity there. Another game. He did not record a turnover in this one. Came close on an interception, but it hit the ground, so it was overturned. You had one big turnover with Saquon Barkley, although upon further review, he was down by contact and not just fumbling the football untouched. But Devontae Smith came up with a huge catch for a touchdown to help the Eagles put this game away. Also, in the early goings of this one, the Eagles' first drive of the game stalled. Sidney Brown came up with a heck of a forced fumble on the punt return that was scooped up by Keely Ringo. Eagles are able to take advantage of that. Those were huge plays throughout this game that the Eagles, unfortunately against an inferior opponent, needed to put that team away today. But there were some clutch performances today by the Eagles also.
Listen, no doubt about it. Jalen played another solid game. 18 for 24. He only had 6 incompletions for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. And again, last week he had a 132 rating. The thing that concerns me are the sacks. You know, he took, in my opinion, at least 2 sacks in the pocket that he didn't necessarily have to take. Like, get out of the pocket and throw the ball away. You know, you can't take those hits because, in my opinion, quarterbacks get hurt more in the pocket than they do when they're outside the pocket. Now, I know that's not conventional wisdom, but when you're in that little tight space and you got them big guys falling all over you, I think that you're more susceptible to being injured in that situation than you are when you're on the move and you're on the, you know, you're trying to make something happen out of the pocket. So I would like to see him step out of the pocket, use his ability to get out of the pocket. If the run isn't there, once you're out of the pocket, just throw it away. Let's live to fight another down. But just taking sacks because you don't see any other way out, that doesn't make sense to me. Listen, for the longest, this was a dominant performance. It just was. It was really marred by the missed 2-point plays, by not taking the field goal, going for it on 4th down, turning the ball over on downs. It was really marred by that. I mean, if up until probably the 6th possession of the game, the Jacksonville Jaguars went punt, fumble, turnover on downs, punt, interception, punt. And then they finished the game, touchdown, punt, touchdown, interception. And I'm like, come on, man. You can't keep putting your team in those types of situations. You know, you're dominating. So finish the domination. But, you know, even at that, the Eagles, and listen, they played a phenomenal game. 2 turnovers, a turnover on downs, 3 turnovers, a turnover on downs. Trevor Lawrence was 16 for 31, 169 yards. The Eagles held this team much like they did last week. 58 yards last week on 22 carries. Today, 18 runs for 60 yards for 3.3 yards a carry. You know, now, granted, these are teams, you know, that are a little substandard, you know, as opposed to some of the teams that they're going to face coming up. But it's a stepping stone in the right direction, D-Gun, for them to be able to get to a point where they can dominate certain phases of the game. I just, you know, it's just a shame. It's a shame that this team could have had such a dominant performance, that they could have put 37 points up on the board and potentially held this team, you know, to under 10 points. It would have been such a dominant performance, and we could be talking about how this team is now ascending. But much like the last home game, here we are, we find ourselves, you know, talking about the damn head coach again. You know, not because, you know, he's chirping in the stands, but because he's making boneheaded plays that affect his players, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
The bottom line is the players won this game in spite of the stupidity of the head coach, number one. Number two, we're still looking at a young defense that is evolving across the board in a lot of ways. And as much as they should have blown this team out today, this is a good character builder for this team for what's to come down the road in terms of knowing how to finish games in crucial situations, getting key stops, forcing turnovers at crucial times. The interception in the end zone was huge. They got all the way down to the 13-yard line and stonewalled them when they had to. It just baffles me. We're sitting here, and I'm looking at the chat on our show, and people are irate, okay? And people across social media platforms are irate with how they won the game and Sirianni in the manner in which he almost cost them the game. 447 yards of offense. You held the opposition to 215 total yards in a National League football game, okay? Some plays went against you, but you still had enough plays. This should have been an easy double-digit win. And yet, we're going to spend the entire week across media platforms talking about you have to take decision-making process out of the hands of Nick Sirianni. You have to. Howie, Jeffrey, call that man into the office tomorrow. Call him in the office right after the game tonight. Tell him, let Kellen Moore call the plays from now on. Let Kellen Moore make the decisions. You just sit there and direct like a traffic cop. Let Kellen Moore make these decisions, and let's see where it goes from here. Because anytime you put your hand into the cookie jar, not good, brother. You got bitter cookies coming out.
It's absolutely terrible. And again, Seth, Gunner, both make great points as far as the Eagles won a game at home, and we're talking about the antics of the head coach. Once it was about yelling at the fans, drama off the field. Now it's about actual in-game decisions with Nick Sirianni. The joy of winning and the agony of talking about it, unfortunately.
Oh, by the way, stupider is a word. It is an adjective rightly used to describe our head coach.
Hold it up. Is there a picture of Nick Sirianni next to that? No, okay.
It will be after tonight because, somebody's going to go on Wikipedia and put the picture connect.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the betPARX postgame show presented by Pond Lehocky. We are here at Parx Casino in Bensalem as we are each and every game day, just 20 minutes north of Philadelphia. Over 3,200 slot machines here at Parx Casino. Back in a second. What's not stupider is Parx Casino and the great times you can have here. Once again, 20 minutes north, Center City, Philadelphia.
It's happening again. Those missed tackles are starting to stack up. Your friends pleading with players who can't hear them. Sweating it out week after week. But not you. Why? Because whether they score or not, there's always another way to win on the betPARX app. New casino users score up to $1,000 bonus back in their first 24 hours.
Stick to the code. I'm in my zone. Let's go. I'm back in my bag. I'm wrecking the wins and it's making them.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Most people don't know how to get the care they need. The experts at Stay at Home Care can help. Before choosing a caregiver or family member for your care, you need to apply for the Home Care Program. The application process can be complicated. Stay at Home Care can help you navigate through every step. Once approved, your caregiver or family member will receive guaranteed weekly pay, a variety of medical benefits options, paid holidays, paid vacation, and overtime pay. Call Stay at Home Care, here to help every step of the way.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Parx Casino. Welcome back to the betPARX postgame show presented by Pond Lehocky from Parx Casino in Bensalem. Once again, over 3,200 slot machines here at Parx Casino. Marc Farzetta along with Eagles Hall of Famer Seth Joyner and veteran Eagles reporter Derrick Gunn. Coming up in this segment, we'll tell you our Mid-Penn Bank players to bank on. But when talking about this performance tonight by the Philadelphia Eagles, we'll get into the specifics that we're talking about when it comes to Nick Sirianni and costing his team points throughout this game tonight, unfortunately. I want to talk a little bit about what you could really expect from this Eagles team. When you talk about players to rely on throughout this game, there has been the linebacker position that has turned out to be, over this win streak in particular, 4 games, where you have seen Zack Baun continue to take steps forward. You have also continued to see Nakobe Dean taking steps forward, and no better example than today. Zack Baun, first play that he saw was 30 yards downfield, and he made the play. The very next play, Zack Baun is getting to the line of scrimmage to get a run stuff. Then you also see Nakobe Dean come off that game-sealing play. Also seeing Zack Baun come up with an interception and get rewarded. Seth, you're a man who played the position at an extremely high level, obviously. In my argument, not just the Eagles Hall of Fame, but the NFL Hall of Fame. How would you evaluate these massive steps forward by the Eagles linebacking core?
I would call them just that. They are massive steps. Because, if you go back to before the bye, we all had reservations whether the Eagles probably at the trade deadline needed to trade for a linebacker that had some experience. And here these guys are, they're making plays all over the field. Last week, Zack Baun with the forced fumble, Nakobe Dean with the recovered fumble. This week they come back, both of them get an interception, in the game. And they're just all over the place. I think that Zack Baun had like 6 tackles in the first quarter alone, and that's really what I like to see. I just got to pull up my stats here for a second. No, they went away. But I want to see who led the team in tackles, because
it was Baun. Yeah,
good defenses. Yeah. Your top 2 linebackers should be at the top of the heap when it comes to, okay, who had the most tackles? And Zack Baun's right there with 10.
Josh Sweat with 5 total tackles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. Reed Blankenship with 5.
Wait a minute. Josh Sweat, 2 sacks.
2 sacks as well. He had himself a nice game.
Yeah, and Reed Blankenship played down close to the
line of scrimmage.
To the line of scrimmage. Yeah. I tell you, somebody who needs to pick it up is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He needs to pick it up, man. I mean, Sidney Brown looks like he's coming, you know, and at some point in time, you know, you're going to have to figure out, you know, what you're going to do there. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, to me, seems like he's more of a center field safety than he is that cover guy that we all think he is, because every time I see him, he's getting beat. Yeah. And you can't put Reed Blankenship in that position because you know that that's not his forte. Yeah. He's a thumper, and he's a guy that's going to, you know, patrol the middle of the field and single high safety. So, but when you look at overall what the linebackers have done, to get back, you know, to your point, you know, Zach Bond has been right there, and Nakobe Dean's been right there with him every single week, leading the teams in tackles 1 and 2. But they're starting to make plays now, you know, and these are the things that I was talking about early in the year that really concerned me, is that do you have playmakers on your defense? It's good to have guys. It's good to have linebackers that lead the team in tackles. But your linebackers have to be players that make plays to help determine the outcome of the game. They have to be difference makers. They can't just be tackling machines. They've got to do something to affect the game. Forcing turnovers, getting sacks, you know, getting an interception here or there. And listen, these guys are stepping up, and they're beginning to, week by week, kind of check all the boxes, you know, in the box score, D-Gun.
Yeah, when you mention the word playmakers, the obvious names that have come to mind the past several weeks have to be Bond, has to be Nakobe Dean, and I have to change my opinion of him. I thought he was too light in the backside to be playing to the inside, and I tell you what, he's been filling the gap significantly the last couple of games and making plays all across the field. You know, Quinyon Mitchell, playmaker. Cooper DeJean hasn't played that many games. He's already a playmaker.
He's a natural.
Okay. Sidney Brown, when that knee is 100%, and I've said this from day one, Sidney Brown is going to replace somebody in the starting on the back end of that defense, and rightfully so.
I think it is 100% because today he didn't have that knee brace on. Last week was his first game.
Right.
He visibly had the knee brace on. Today, he didn't have that knee brace on.
And it's time. It's time to insert him back there as a starter. Isaiah Rodgers could be that playmaker on the other side. Leave him in there. I know Darius Slay making the big money. This is all about winning, you know. Right now, you bird dogging the Washington Commanders, you know, and in a couple of weeks, you got to face them head to head in a big Thursday night matchup. You on a short week, so you know what? Keep getting these young kids all the reps you can, man. Let them play, let them ball out. You know, Jalen Carter's a beast. You know, Jordan Davis has played well the past couple of weeks. Let these guys roll, man. This is the nucleus of your present and the future. This is the nucleus of what is going to carry you to a divisional championship and deep into the playoffs. Let these dogs hunt, man. Let these young pups hunt and become dogs.
You know, the only thing that I would like to see the Eagles do more of, D, is in obvious passing situations. If you're going to rush 4, run some games, man.
Yeah.
Like one of the sacks, one of the sacks that Josh Sweat had tonight was on a stunt. Came scot-free. You know, but you can't ask guys to just rush one-on-one all day long and not have some games to kind of screw with the protections and get some guys free. You got ETs and TEs and TNTs, and you got all of these different stunts, these loop stunts that you can run. And these loop stunts, you can delay the linebacker and then bring the linebacker off of some of these stunts, you know, because he's going to be the free guy. A lot of what we see now, they want to go to a 5-man front. They'll either blitz Bond or they'll blitz Nakobe Dean. But they walk him up in the pocket. They walk him right up over the center. So now everybody's man-to-man across the board. You know, they need to have a little more imagination, you know, against better quarterbacks who have their full complement of wide receivers.
I'm with you 100% on that. 1,000% actually. Now, we got to get to our mid-pen bank player to bank on. Now, before we jump to that graphic, I just want to point out, now on the pregame show, we didn't do a bang-up job. Let's just admit that, okay? A.J. Brown, Derrick Gunn, you had A.J. Brown as your player to bank on. Seth, you had Jalen Carter. I had Jalen Hurts. Not to brag, but I think I was the closest. But anyway, our mid-pen bank player to bank on for this game was Devontae Smith. Time and time again, stepping up and making plays, especially in the biggest play of the game. Do you agree?
I tell you what, Saquon had 30 touches.
You go Saquon?
Wait. Yeah,
No,
wait.
you made a mistake.
I made a mistake?
Put the graphic up.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
I called the wrong play.
Now listen. You know, to the point, Jalen Hurts. I mean, Saquon Barkley had a hell of a game.
Yes,
There's no doubt about it. But the kind of fire that Jalen Hurts has been under, and for him to have the kind of game that he had, where after the second in the second half, he didn't have A.J. Brown at all. You know, he threw a nice ball that Jahan Dotson caught for 20-something yards. You know, the two passes to Devontae Smith were perfection. You know, he put him just about the only place that you could put him. I get your point, and we were all troubled when we talked about it.
Yeah.
And you probably had a little.
Nick Sirianni the hell out of it. What can I say?
Yeah, you had a Nick Sirianni moment. But I got my producers over here. They're like, huh?
What? Just throwing a curveball.
They're like, Scooby-Doo, hit it one time.
Yeah. Look. Saquon had a heck of a game, but that pass Jalen threw to Devontae Smith for that touchdown over the top of Ronald Darby, former Eagle, Ronald Darby.
Sure.
That was money. Now, granted, Devontae, the body control to drag both feet to make that catch, one-handed catch, that's special. That's highlight stuff you're going to see for years to come. But Jalen, 132 passer rating for the second week in a row, didn't turn the ball over, made the right decisions again. I mean, come on, man. We've ripped him time and time again. Let's give him his praise. Give him his praise, man.
Absolutely. And that right there is our mid-pen player to bank on. Mid-pen bank. Before we go into our next break here, we've talked about it. Let's get specific about it. When talking about the mistakes made by the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles and decision maker Nick Sirianni. One by one. Now, there's 4 huge decisions that he made in this game that greatly affected the Eagles. Each one took points off the board for the Birds. The first issue came up in the second quarter. Eagles are already ahead 10-0. 4th and 3 from the Jacksonville 22-yard line. They end up throwing an incomplete pass to A.J. Brown on that play. 3 points right there in the early goings of this game that would have put the Eagles up 13-0 as opposed to 10-0. Now, a lot of people argue whether or not whether or not they like the decision that was made or the result. This, to me, right away, was you're playing an inferior team. Just take the point, Seth.
Well, it's like we talked about at the beginning of the game. I said that this team is going to come in here and fight. They don't have a whole lot to fight with, not a whole lot to fight for, but they're going to come in here and fight because that's just the way that NFL football is. Teams are going to fight no matter what circumstances they find themselves in because they've got to prove to themselves that, hey, we can't beat this team. And you got to make sure that they prove to themselves and you prove to them that they can't win this game. But what the Eagles did by some of these boneheaded plays is you continue to give this team life.
Right.
And as you gave them life, now all of a sudden, now you have momentum shift. All of a sudden they score a touchdown. And all of a sudden, the referees messed it up, but they pick up a fumble and they run it back in. Now all of a sudden, you're 6 points. There's a 6-point difference in this game. You're 1 touchdown away from actually losing being behind in this football game. These are the types of things that I don't think Nick Sirianni really understands about the psychology of football. When you got a team that's down, you got to beat them down. You got to put your finger on them. You got to put your foot on their neck. Whatever it is you got to do, you got to leave them for dead is what you got to do early. Then you take away their will to fight back, but he never took away their will to fight back, and they made it a game all the way into the end darn near. It doesn't make any sense.
Kept on saying to the opposing team tonight, you're going to have a chance. You're going to have a chance. The next instance came in the second quarter. Eagles are up 16-0 at this point. Barkley breaks out the 3rd and 17-yard run there, breaks it off for the touchdown. Absolutely incredible run. I think it was a check at the line by Jalen Hurts. They end up going for it on the tush push to try to draw the Jaguars offside. In all honesty, not a terrible idea considering the tush push usually gets you that 2-point conversion. They try to draw them offsides. It doesn't work. They then kick the point after and make it. Another offsides penalty. They decide, all right, half the distance to the goal. Now we're going to go for the tush push again. The tush push fails. They literally take the points off the board. For or against Derrick Gunn.
Against. Take the sure 1 point.
Yeah, you never take. There's a rule. What's the rule? You never take points off the board.
Why? Well, I mean, what is his fascination with the 2-pointer every time. I don't get this. I don't get it. After it fails a couple of times, and then you send your kicker out there near the end of the game to try a 57-yard field goal. He hasn't kicked the field goal all game. And you're going to sit him out there. He had the distance. Unfortunately, he hit the upright and bounced off. But then you give the opposition the ball almost at midfield and give him a short field to work with. And the end result, the way they were moving the ball, I mean, the DBs were playing so deep. The second half, I don't know what Jacksonville was doing different, but their wide receivers were getting a lot of space between themselves and their coverage, and especially in that fourth quarter. And I don't know if Vic Fangio went to a prevent-style defense or what, but these guys were catching everything underneath that they weren't catching in that first half. Why are you constantly giving them the momentum? You're taking the wind out of your own team's sail, and you're giving opposition the momentum. Could have been an embarrassing loss for this team.
Well, to answer your question, D-Gun, that's exactly what happened. They had a little bit of a lead, and then Vic Fangio went into safe mode. You heard the guys on the broadcast talk about, Trevor Lawrence wanting to operate, from the hurry-up standpoint, because it puts him in a position where he doesn't have to think a whole lot, but just react. Then all of a sudden, our defensive back started playing 8 yards off the ball again, giving up chunk plays, and the next thing you know, boom, 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 here they go down the field. I just, it's when you talk about what Nick did, and then late in the game, what Vic did, it's like, it's almost like it was a convergence of the two. It's like, hey, listen, we got this game wrapped up. We're just going to play it safe. Let's try to run the clock out. But by that time, Jacksonville had already believed that they could win the game. Yeah. And now they're playing all out. And a quarterback who basically had 23 yards rushing, 23 yards passing in the entire first half, 4 for 10, okay? He turns around in the second half and lights your defense up for, 126 yards, all in the second half, okay? It makes no sense to me, some of the things that they do and how they think. If you've been dominant all game,
right,
you don't have to, just because you got the game won doesn't mean that you got to sit back. No. It was a 3rd and 16.
Yes.
And they converted on the 3rd and 16. I'm like, come with the blitz. Play the guy 5 yards off and let him turn and run with the wide receiver. He's got to hurry up and throw the ball, but they want to sit back and go with the 4-man rush, and they keep the tight end in, and now your cornerbacks are playing off the ball. He pushes up, double moves, stops at 16, 4th and 15, boom, first down. Yeah. To me, that's playing from a position of fear, and to me, you can't continuously put your players in that situation, because then they get skittish after a while.
Mm-hmm. There's 2 more instances when it comes to just Nick Sirianni. Both of them came in the third quarter. After Jalen Hurts' touchdown run that made it 22-0 in favor of the Eagles, they then again went to the tush push. It again failed, took another point off the board, unfortunately, in that situation. Then later in the third quarter, with about 22 seconds left, 22-16 in favor of the Eagles. They then again decide to go for the 2 points instead of just taking the point after. Ridiculous all throughout the entire game. Now,
like I said before, Jeffrey, Howie, call Nick into the office, have a heart-to-heart, sing Kumbaya, do whatever you got to do, but you have got to tell this man, look here, man, you can't make these decisions. We have somebody else here that's going to make these decisions, because you're going to put us in a situation at a crucial point of a game where it's going to cost us if you keep going against the grain here. Don't allow an opponent, when they're down, to breathe. You have to keep your foot on your neck. You had them down by 22 points, and you made this game a lot closer than it should have been, and it just so happens in a slight overthrow by Trevor Lawrence was the difference in this game of Nakobe Dean making an incredible play to seal a deal. Lady Luck is not always going to shine on you. That's the way it is in the National Football League. It shined on you today, but I'm going to tell you something. Just as quickly as it shines on you, it'll frown on you as well. You've got to come up with better solutions in crucial situations at games. Plain and simple.
You know what? You know when you're a young kid, you do something wrong, and your mama send you outside to get a switch?
Oh, yeah.
They need to send him outside to get a switch. He need a whooping.
Yeah, you know what, though? He shouldn't do like I did one time. My mom sent me out to get a switch, and me being a smart aleck, I got one about this long. Next thing I know, she went outside, got with a bullwhip. Hit me from like 10 yards away with it, man. I'm just telling you.
She looked at you like Nick Sirianni was like, get 2 switches.
Yeah, get 2.
Get 2
Yeah,
switches.
because this one gonna be broken after a few licks. So get another one.
Hey, speaking of crazy things, this gentleman here in the middle of us, Seth Joyner, has got crazy giveaways. Just almost too many giveaways for all you wonderful listeners and all you people that chime in on the show. You follow the show. You do a fantastic job doing that. Make sure you're following my man, Seth Joyner, for jersey giveaways, ticket giveaways, mini helmets, footballs, at Seth Joyner. Also on Instagram at Seth Joyner and Seth Joyner Show. Facebook at Seth Joyner Show as well. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification button on his YouTube channel where you're watching this show right now. And also, of course, on 6abc.com. You got some great giveaways there, Seth.
A lot of good stuff. The first 2 we're giving away in the last segment of the show tonight. One's off Instagram, one's off Twitter. They'll be happy to know that, originally I had only earmarked Saquon's jersey, but when I found out that they were actually doing Kelly Green, I didn't know that beforehand. I was like, well, let's give away 2. Let's give away a Kelly Green jersey. So we're giving away one of mine and Saquon's as well in the last segment of the show. And you had to have followed the instructions once you followed me on the multiple social media platforms to be eligible to be picked for it. Now, there's many more. In that last segment, there's still 3 jerseys that we have that we're going to give away before the end of the year. We got some mini helmets like we have here that we're going to give away at the end of the year. We got signed footballs that we're going to give away. We also have 2 tickets to one of the remaining Eagles home games in a suite as well to give away. But you got to subscribe, and you got to go to the various social media platforms in order to be eligible to be picked. And what we'll do is next week there won't be any giveaways, but the week after we'll do a jersey and probably a signed football.
Absolutely.
Now, when you say the week after, will that be that Thursday night game or the following?
Thursday night game.
Okay. Yeah.
Thursday night.
Right.
The Dallas Cowgirls.
And I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you for making me and Mark eligible for some of these fabulous prizes that you're giving away. That's mighty generous with the holiday season coming up.
If I could reach that helmet, I'd just give it to you and write with this pen on it so you can shut up already.
You look nice on my shelf with my other stuff.
They got the Cowboys coming up, and then they got the Commanders after that. And that'll be the prime time Thursday night game. We look forward to breaking that one down for you. Both these games coming up here. Oh, what happened to the trap game? Guess it wasn't much of a trap. How about that? When we come back, we're going to...
Yeah, it was. Your coach almost trapped you.
Yeah, he was trapped. He was trapped in stupider.
It's a trap with Nick Sirianni.
Oh, man.
Coming up, we're going to check in with our social media coordinator, Bailey Livesey, will be joining us to tell us what you great people are talking about in the comment section. We'll also break down our Davis Honda drive of the game. That's when we return on the betPARX postgame show presented by Lehocky. How about the betPARX Sportsbook here at Parx Casino? Hope you took full advantage of the Eagles' success today, especially a first-time touchdown for a scorer for Saquon Barkley.
At Lehocky Giordano, we understand the impact an injury can have on your life. Our experienced attorneys have recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we know we can do the same for you. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured at work, give Lehocky a call.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come, join our team.
This is Parx. Parx, Pennsylvania's #1 casino experience. This is how you win.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional-grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
This next segment is brought to you by Lehocky. Welcome back to the betPARX postgame show presented by Lehocky from Parx Casino in Bensalem, just 20 minutes north of Center City, Philadelphia. Marc Farzetta, Seth Joyner, Derrick Gunn, and we're going to bring along our social media coordinator, Bailey Livesey. Join us right now. Tell us what the good people are saying in our comment section on YouTube. Bailey, what do you got?
Well, hello, everyone. I hope you are all enjoying your Sunday. To get us started off here, Nick Sirianni is the obvious topic of conversation. If you had to grade him on his coaching today, what would you give him?
I mean, I'll go first. D minus, like what's right above an F, you know?
Yeah, I'm right there with the D minus category. I mean, they won. The players won the game. In spite of the coach being stupider, as Seth so aptly stated.
Mark said that, not me.
Mark said.
We both enjoyed it. Yes.
As Mark and Seth so aptly stated, and of course Seth looked it up and found that it does exist. It is a word, a real word. But you can't just overlook the fact that your coach could have cost you this game in a very winnable game, in a game that should have been a double-digit win for your team. Because these decisions have been made all season long. And he keeps coming up in a negative light more so than a positive light. So you have to find a way to keep Nick Sirianni from making certain decisions, or down the road, it's going to cost him big time. Big time.
I'm just going to give him an upside-down F and leave it at that.
Upside-down F.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
like a double L.
That's when you know you really up.
Literally.
Oh, man.
I like that.
Thank God for YouTube.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
I mean, in all honesty, I can't remember a time where a head coach was this much of a distraction after 2 home wins. We're talking about either yelling at fans or we're talking about dumb play calls and decisions on 4th down or when you're at the goal line. Or, excuse me, on 2-point conversions.
Right.
Just absolutely. I mean, we should just be going for the point after.
You know what, Mark? As a head coach, the story should always be your team and it should always be your players. It should never be about you. And in the last 2 games, all the comments and all the talk has been about Nick Sirianni. First, with the chatter with the fans. And you know that we're not the only ones that's going to beat him up. The whole city's going to beat him up.
Oh, my goodness.
The national media is going to beat him up over this. And he's made himself the story rather than his players. It makes no sense to me.
I hope the first words out of his mouth were, they did a great job of overcoming my mistakes. I hope those were the first words out of his mouth.
I wish I could be in that precedent. I would like, how when they asking questions and they talk over each other in the beginning, I'd be like, man, somebody speak over me. I got the first question. The first question. Shut up. like, hey, Nick, which one of these decisions did you really think was a good decision that really was going to help your team win the football game tonight? And then just sit back and watch everybody with their mouth open. I can't believe he asked that. But somebody's going to ask the hard question tonight.
Oh, I think it's going to be Jeff McClain. I think it'll be Jeff McClain. Jeff McClain, I love him to death. He and I are good friends. Jeff has a way of getting under coaches and players' skins like very few people that I know in this industry. So I can't wait to see if Sirianni goes off on anybody, it might be Jeff.
I would pay for a ticket to that press conference where people try to talk over Seth, and he's just like, everybody shut your damn mouth. I got a question.
I would do it from the back of the room, because I know Seth would be in the front row. And if he said everybody shut up, I say, man, you can't tell me what to do. As soon as he turned and looked at me, I'd be out that side door.
All right, I think we got a D- and an upside down F to answer your question, Bailey. What else are the good people
Bailey's like, hello.
I love the honesty.
Thank you.
Of course.
It's all we got. It's all we got. What else are people saying, Bailey?
All right, another hot topic in all sports is managing an athlete's workload. Do you feel they are managing Saquon Barkley well?
Obviously, the tie-in with Joel Embiid, and you always have to worry about a running back being used.
Right.
I mean, we haven't even mentioned yet, by the way, the incredible. I think this is a move that was just created today by Saquon Barkley. The no-look hurdle.
Oh.
I mean, what do you call that? That was
Backward
insane.
hurdle.
But he appeared to maybe have tweaked something, sat out a little bit. Maybe he was just winded. I think he went back to the locker room at one point during the game as well, and then went out there for, again, 199 yards of total offense. As far as managing the workload, though, it's something that I think you have to be cautious of. It's a 2-year deal with Saquon Barkley? You want to make sure that he is phenomenal for those 2 years? Something you got to keep an eye on.
Well, he had 30 touches in this game. I look at what Tennessee did for years to Derrick Henry and basically wore that man down. Now, he's rejuvenated with Baltimore, but they basically wore that man down. You brought Saquon in here to be that difference maker. Saquon is a special athlete, and he's not a small running back. He's a big man, but a big man can only get hit so many times before you slow down a little bit, and we saw today him get up a couple of times slow, especially on one play where he got tackled, the leg tackled, and came up slow and tried it over to the sideline. Yep. You saw him stretching. He's built for this moment, but this is early November. You want him to be fresh in late December, early January, mid-January, late January. I don't know if the Eagles, if it's wise for them to continue to use him 28, 30 times a game. I think anywhere from 18, 22, 25, that's enough for him. But then again, as you know, Seth, certain games call for certain situations. And,
come on, man. I mean, this was the perfect opportunity for them to be in a situation where they could manage some of his load. But the fact that Nick Sirianni kept making these bonehead decisions forced him back on the field. My intention was, okay, let's get a 30-point lead, 30-0. We pretty much got that wrapped up. Kenneth Gainwell and Shipley gets the rest of the carries. Let's get our back, to the sideline, get him out of his uniform, get him some ice, start, recovery with him. But because of the mistakes that Sirianni continuously made, they missed the opportunity to actually pull him out of the game and rest him. Listen, I'm from that era where running backs carried the ball 25, 30, sometimes 35 times a game. I don't like the term a bell cow, but that's what it was back in the day. Now, you're paying him a lot of money to do what he does. And as a football player, you want to play. You're not worried about load management. You're worried about, getting out there and doing everything that you can to help your team win. So there's a side of him that's not going to feel good about them taking him out of the game. But 30 touches, and this was a physical game for him, because a lot of his runs, like he had like 4 or 5 runs, I should say, where he that got him the majority of his yards. Like in the first half, he had 13 carries for 61 yards.
Yeah.
You throw another, 17 on there to get him to a total of 199 yards total, total yards, 27 carries for 159 yards, and then another 40 on three catches. At some point in time, the wear and tear is going to start to get to him. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I say that is because today's athletes, Mark, are not like the guys of our day. Like, you worked your ass off in the offseason. It's not like he's not in tip-top shape, but you work your ass off in the offseason, and you played in the preseason to prepare your body for a 16-game schedule. The way that they manage these guys now, they're on a pitch count every single time that they play. They're only going to get 50 to 60, 65% of the plays before they give them a break. And they have the ability to tap their head and say, hey, I need a break, coach. I need a break. Man, I wish I would have tapped my helmet and Buddy saw me tap my helmet. We'd have been running hundreds all week the next week. Hey, you need a break. You must not be in shape. But that's the difference in where we are today and what the game used to be. We prepared to play every single down, nor did I want to give up any of my downs to my backup. But this is a different era, and if they're going to practice him the way that they practice him, and they're going to use him the way that they use him, they're going to have to pick some spots. And today was a prime spot. Today's game was a prime spot. If we would have taken care of business against the Browns, it would have been a prime spot. And if it hadn't have been the Giants that we're playing against, where he's, thumbing his nose at his former team, you could have saved some of that. But he only had 17 carries for 176 yards in that game.
Right.
So, to your point, D, you talk about, we need him to the extent that we need to win the game.
Right.
But the coaches have to start being a lot smarter about how they use him and the decisions that they make that allows them to pull him out of the game and give him some rest at the end of the game.
If your head coach continues to make these boneheaded plays and keep games close, you can't take him out of the game because he's your closer. So if push comes to shove and you have the ball in the last 2 minutes of a game and you're trying to run out the clock, who are you going to go to? Right. You're going to Saquon. Every time he's going to pick up 5-6 yards, keep that clock moving, force the opposition to use their timeouts. Good night, game over. That's when he starts getting 27, 28. At the rate we're going right now, when you look at the games that are coming up in Dallas, and you say what you want to say, the Eagles should go down to Dallas and beat them, especially if Dak doesn't play because he left today's game with a hamstring. It's still a division game. Mm-hmm. You got to go down there and play it. Now, Dallas can't stop anybody in the ground. So right now, as we sit here, what do you want to do? You want to run the football. Who's running the football? $37 million man. How many times is he going to run the football, especially if you get up by 10 points? He might run another 25, 30 times next week. Oh, by the way, on a short week after that, you have to play first place Washington in a big showdown for first place. What you got to do? You got to establish the ground game. Who's running the football on a short week? $37 million man.
Well, teams are looking at how the Eagles are currently constructed and what their identity is. The Eagles ran the ball 46 times today.
Jeez.
46 times for 237 yards, which is probably going to put them in first place in rushing. I think they were ranked second, but for 5.2 yards a carry. So if you think that Dallas is going to give you a six-man box and let you just run roughshod all over them like everybody else, I promise you they're not. Especially if A.J. Brown is down again, they're going to put the extra safety in the box. Yeah. They're going to bring the extra linebacker on the field, so to speak. And Jalen's going to be, challenged to throw the football because they are not going to let him come down to Dallas and embarrass them running the football. And I don't know if the Eagles are really committed. Like there were times tonight, there was series tonight where I'm looking and I'm like, we need to get back to running the ball. I track them all. I track all for every series and how many times they run in a specific series. And I just feel like, sometimes they kind of get away from it.
Sure.
And then other times it's almost overload. And he'll go 4 or 5 plays and then he'll need a break. And then Gainwell will come in. And while Gainwell has had some spots during the year, he's not Saquon. He'll come in and give you a 1-yard run on first down. And then all of a sudden you're in 2nd and 9. You get an incompletion, now you got 3rd and 9, and here he comes back on the field trying to help you get to a first down situation. So I just think that they got to figure out, how they're gonna use him, where they're gonna use him, and where to take their spots, and say, okay, we need to give this guy a break. They have to figure that out.
Fair enough, Bailey. Finally, our third comment from the commenters today. What are they saying?
So there are 2 divisional games coming up, the Cowboys and the Commanders. In your opinion, what do you feel that we need to be most mindful about going into these 2 games?
The head coach doesn't do everything in his power to put his team in a horrible position to overcome his ineptitude and win a game. I mean, that's, in all honesty, you look at the Commanders right now, Gunner, Seth, that looks like a team that's extremely well coached, can make adjustments on the fly. They have talented players, obviously, as well. They've been proving it all season long. They're the team to beat right now in the NFC East. Then you look at the Cowboys. The Cowboys have nothing going right for them right now.
No.
What better way for them to at least get some good vibes than beating the Philadelphia Eagles? There's going to be a huge target on the Eagles' back for that game. These are 2 games that are very winnable games for the Eagles, as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot. If Jalen Hurts can correct his turnover mistakes, I really hope that Nick Sirianni can at least step away from those decisions that you're talking about so much, Gunner, that he needs to pull himself away from.
Well,
go ahead.
Before I pass to you, D, I think that the Cowboys game is certainly a game that they can win. The organization's in disarray. You got players being disciplined. Zeke didn't play today. You got CeeDee Lamb is beat up, his shoulders beat up, Dak's out of the game. This is a game that you go down early with the intent to put them away early so now you can put Saquon on the shelf coming up on the short week.
Yeah.
Because, listen, Washington looks good.
Yes.
But the last 2 games, Washington looked much more gettable than they have the previous 6 games. They look more gettable. I'm telling you right now, the Bears should have won that game. You lose it on a Hail Mary, and then you come back today, and, you know, the Giants are fighting all the way down. I mean, the Giants put up 20-something points on them.
22 on them, yeah.
They put up 22 on them, and I can't remember what the score of the game was, but the Giants, as bad as they are, they were in that game, okay? So the Eagles have got to figure out how to stomp a mud hole in Dallas early so that they can rest the major guys and then turn around and get those guys ready for Washington, because that's going to be the key game. They can't afford to go 2 down in the division. They've got to win that game in order to pull even and have the advantage because of the head-to-head. And then we get them here, you know, and hopefully we can knock them off again and win the division.
Going down to Dallas is always one of those bad vibe, bad juju type games, you know? Always something crazy happens down there. And for whatever reason, even though the Eagles have a better team on paper, you can't count out the fact that even as bad as Dallas is, they lost again today, 27-21 to the Falcons. It's a Dallas Eagles game, and you have to throw conventional wisdom out the door. But you cannot play the same game today you played against Jacksonville down in Dallas and expect to come out victorious in that game. That's not going to happen. And then turn around on a short week and face Washington, which is feeling good about themselves, beating themselves in the chest right now. Everybody kind of let's talk about Washington for a moment. A lot of people before the season started were kind of snickering at Washington. They went out and signed like 18 free agents. New ownership. They brought in old players like Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner's balling for Washington right now in the middle of that defense. They draft a quarterback. You know, they draft the right quarterback, it appears, through 8 games this season. This kid is playing special ball, okay, right now. Beautiful. He throws a beautiful ball. He escapes. You know, he's smart. He makes great decisions. That's going to be a monster game. You don't want to have a negative vibe coming out of that Dallas game, getting ready to face Washington on a short week.
Mm-hmm. With you 100%. Bailey Livesey, thank you so much. Appreciate you letting us know what our chat is talking about when it comes to this Eagles win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bailey Livesey, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely, Bailey. Now, when we come back, because as per usual in that segment, we get to talking. But when we come back, we have the Davis Honda drive of the game in this Eagles win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the betPARX postgame show presented by Pond Lehocky from Parx Casino in Bensalem. The 360 Lounge here at Parx Casino. Great drinks, fantastic entertainment.
I'm in that mode. Stick to the code. I'm in my zone. Let's go. I'm back in my bag. I'm wrecking the wins and it's making them.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
And the next thing I knew, I woke up in a hospital bed.
Has a friend ever told you a story about an accident and someone says,
you should probably sue them.
Forget your friend. Call Pond Lehocky Giordano.
We're an injury law firm that's recovered billions of dollars for our clients.
And with our vast network of attorneys throughout the country, we know we can do the same for you.
So if you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
One conversation is all it takes, and you won't pay a dime until we win.
Sell your car to us, no hassle, no fuss. DavisBuysCars.com.
Did you know that Davis Honda will pay top dollar for your car? Go to DavisBuysCars.com and get an instant quote on your vehicle. We'll make the purchase as easy as possible and put cash in your hand faster than you can say DavisBuysCars.com.
Sell your car to us, no hassle, no fuss. DavisBuysCars.com.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Verizon. Welcome back to the betPARX postgame show presented by Pond Lehocky, Marc Farzetta, Seth Joyner, Derrick Gunn. Coming up in a minute, we're going to talk to our sports doc, Dr. Bruce Grossing, here in a second about a unfortunate amount of injuries that took place in today's game for the Philadelphia Eagles. But before we go there, let's get to our Davis Honda drive of the game. This one really helped seal the deal for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it came with just a little bit over a little under 13 minutes left in the game. In the fourth quarter, 12:51 remaining. Philadelphia Eagles are up 22-16 in desperate need of a successful drive and a big touchdown. They got 8 plays, 91 yards, lasting 5 minutes and 8 seconds that ended with a spectacular catch by Devontae Smith in the back of the end zone. One-handed, reeling it in, getting both feet down for a 25-yard touchdown reception that made it a 28-16 Eagles lead. Thought it was going to be 29. Not so fast. Thank you very much, Nick Sirianni. But anyway.
Stupider.
That is the Davis Honda drive of the game. And, fellas, how about that catch by Devontae Smith coming up in the clutch for his Eagles? No A.J. Brown at that point, obviously, in the game. Devontae comes up. Skinny Batman comes up.
You have a defensive back right on top of you. So you've got to see over the defensive back. You've got to know where the end zone line is. You're running full speed. You caught that ball one-handed and drug both feet. His body control is exceptional. To drag both feet, to make that catch, secure the ball, and score that touchdown was huge at that point in the game. First of all, beautiful throw by Jalen. Mm-hmm. He put it right where it had to be. But Devontae to make that catch, and we see him make these catches time and time again. I mean, Skinny Batman, I tell you what, man, this dude is something else, man.
He swelled up to make that catch.
Swolled up. He swelled up.
He swelled up
to make that catch.
Seth,
and is that? I believe that's a word too. Look that one up too.
Swole. It is nowadays. Absolutely.
When you get hit in the lip, you swole.
You swole up. Okay. All right.
Thursday Night Football, we see the tremendous catch by Garrett Wilson in the end zone. One hand reels it in. Shades of Odell Beckham Jr. on that famous Sunday night game against the Cowboys, Giants and Cowboys. And then similarly, you see a great one-handed catch and a reel in by Devontae Smith. This is a guy that is now, you could talk about as a veteran player, as a wide receiver in the NFL. Still young, but very much a veteran. He absolutely balled out at that moment, especially in that fourth quarter. We were talking about it, Seth. Going into that fourth quarter, you're talking about a guy who's got one catch for 9 yards. And actually, I think it was going into later in the third quarter. And then he ends up stepping up for a huge game for the Eagles, including that touchdown.
Well, it was massive because, at that point in time, the Eagles had lost momentum because of, Nick Sirianni's, his decisions. And I can remember when they kicked off, I said, man, this has got to be the series. Like, they got to drive down. They got to put some points on the board, right now because they got to stem the tide. Because Jacksonville, they really had the momentum in their favor. If they would have went 3 and out there, it's highly likely that Jacksonville would have scored on the next possession and taken the lead. So that was a huge, huge drive because, once you go up, 28 to whatever it was, I forget what the graphic, had
16.
28 to 16. Now, that's the kind of drive that, when I was talking about stealing the will of bad teams and how they will fold if you do that early, that play right there sucked whatever air they had left in them completely out of them. Now, they continued to battle, and they tried to get down and score another touchdown, but, Nakobe Dean had the interception that nullified that. But realistically, that was the drive that just sucked what little bit of air that they had left in them. It completely took it out of them because they knew that they were up against it, and there was no way they could get 2 to 3 scores to be able to get in a position to either challenge to tie the game or win the game. It was over.
Mm-hmm. Until, again, like you said, the head coach gave him a little CPR. Hey, let me blow a decision here, and then we'll give you some life. There are, unfortunately, a number of injuries for the Eagles in this game, including their fullback/linebacker Ben Von Sumeren being evaluated for a concussion. Obviously, Saquon Barkley stepped out for a few plays, could have just been being winded, but also went back to the locker room. Also, A.J. Brown suffered an injury in this one also. Not sure about that. But to get more clarity on that, let's talk to our sports doc, Dr. Bruce Grossing. You're bringing him right now to the betPARX postgame show presented by Pond Lehocky. Dr. Bruce, great to see you. Eagles, hey, as they say, a win is a win, no matter how many negatives you could take away from it. But some of the negatives, unfortunately, had to do with the injury bug. What can you tell me about A.J. Brown after this win today?
Well, it looked to me that he had a knee strain. Then he went back into the locker room. He came out the second half, and then he went back. So in your words, the knee swelled up. Sorry, we have to go there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, appropriate.
You think I'm not watching this show? I'm getting stupider listening to this thing. But
you got
I'll watch it. I'll learn it.
You got some serious style points there, Bruce.
I do. I'm trying to keep it light here. And so we imagine that he did get an X-ray at halftime, and it was negative for a fracture, but he did experience seriously. He had some swelling in the knee, and we don't know the extent of the injury. The fact he was able to walk off to the locker room and come back is a good sign, but he's going to get an MRI tomorrow, and I'm sure he's going to get the great compression. They have compression stockings in ice, and he's going to get a lot of PT. As far as the concussion with the fullback / linebacker, I don't have an update on him, but usually the concussion protocol is 5 stages. So that's usually more than a week for that gentleman.
Doc, real quick, because that confused the heck out of me. A.J. Brown went to the locker room, came back out for halftime, or after halftime, and then went back to the locker room.
That's the sequence.
Yeah, right. What happens during halftime for him to come back out to the field? Do I just hope that he forgot something on the sideline? What happened there?
Well, they have X-rays in the locker room, so presumably they X-rayed him to make sure there wasn't a fracture or dislocation. And then he probably said, I feel okay. I think I can give it a go. His knee was presumably structurally stable, and then he came back out and it probably stiffened up, and they made a mutual decision for him not to continue playing.
Now, so there have been like mixed reports on exactly what was wrong, because didn't they say during the game that it was a shoulder injury?
I think we heard that during the game, and then it would turn out. I thought originally from the hit that we saw, it would be a back, his hip, or rib.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be his knee, unfortunately, in this one.
Yeah, I actually saw multiple reports, different media outlets suggesting it was a knee strain or a knee. So I saw knee continuously, so I'm pretty confident in that diagnosis.
Fair enough. As far as Saquon Barkley, a question came up earlier in the show about the hurdle that he had, the no-look hurdle. Then he's on the sidelines, and it looked like he was either trying to stretch out, stay loose. Maybe he was winded after another big run. Whatever the case might be, what are you hearing, if anything, about Saquon Barkley after this game?
I think he's fine. I mean, obviously, he ran really well in the fourth quarter. He helped, along with Jacoby, helped ice the game. So I haven't heard that he's injured at all. That I really haven't seen anything like that. To see that in person, where he literally flew over somebody. I've seen people like hurdle over, but his athleticism was just spectacular to see in person.
Hey, Doc, I have a question for you. Do you think Nick Sirianni has a head injury with all the stupider calls he made today?
He seems to always steal defeat from the jaws of victory, and just the idea of taking points off the board and his play calls, you could look at the comment section, just inexplicable. And even a wounded Cowboys team with an injured Dak, I mean, like you guys say, once they start playing the Ravens away, they have to go away to Los Angeles and play the Rams. And the Commanders / Redskins, they look great. Their quarterback is fantastic. That shows you how you can turn a whole franchise around with a quarterback. So there's a lot more ahead, and Eagles don't make it easy on you.
Doc, any idea when the Eagles are going to get Jordan Mailata back? I think that I'm not sure whether he's got one more week. He's going to miss all the way through the Dallas game, or what the circumstances are. But I think he's been on IR for quite some time now. So I'm just curious when they're going to open the window for him to come off of IR. I think
that's a great question. I would guess, I'm just speculating, 1 to 2 weeks. As far as Goddard, I misspoke last time because they both had hamstrings injuries. And when you see enough hamstrings, everything in your world looks like a hamstring after a while. But it looks like Goddard is week to week as well. So you'd hope that he would come back at least that Thursday night game against the Commanders. You always look at that Washington game as a win, but now it's actually going to be exciting. But I haven't heard anything, presumptive. I haven't heard anything definitive about when Mailata's going to return. And I know he's a big guy with hamstrings. They just don't want to get Joel Embiid syndrome.
Right.
Whoa.
Right.
Whoa.
Dr. Bruce, I want
that.
No,
I know
of
what
course
we
not.
want, and we do not want that.
No. Dr. Bruce, last question for me anyway, and it's got nothing to do with injury. You're an Eagles fan, obviously. Just looking at this win today, what best describes your emotion? Is it, yes, the Eagles won, or is it our coach is a dope?
Have to say the coach is a dope. All I know is they were up 22-0 in the third quarter. I was ready to leave so I could comfortably get back to my studio. And a blink of an eye, it's 22-16. And it took a heroic interception to the end zone. So I just think they overthink it. I think just the tush-push wasn't pushing or tushing. And it was very frustrating.
Yeah.
And I watched the game with Wilbert Montgomery and Patty Montgomery in the stand. So it was just wonderful watching with him, and he gives you regards. And I thought what they did for Shady McCoy, they brought everybody back. And Seth, unfortunately, couldn't be in two places at once. But I think, interestingly, at halftime, nobody left their seat, and everybody honored Shady McCoy. I thought that was pretty cool.
Awesome. No, that's fantastic. Of course, the Eagles' all-time leading rusher getting honored at halftime, inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame. Dr. Bruce Grossing, our sports doc, thank you so much for breaking it all down for us. Much appreciated.
Have a great night.
Yeah, you as well. And that's something else that was fantastic about tonight. And we saw the LaShawn McCoy interview on the sidelines there after halftime. One of the most electric players, certainly of my lifetime, watching for the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, a lot of people forget because he was so young and traded so early that he is the Eagles' all-time leading rusher. Snow Globe game, Shady in the snow.
I was there.
You talk about a guy like that and all the talent he brought to the Eagles' backfield. In my opinion, you have him, Brian Westbrook. In the time I've been old enough to really pay attention to Eagles football, those are the two best guys to do it.
Chip Kelly messed up his legacy here.
Oh, yeah.
If Chip Kelly hadn't traded him, think about his rushing numbers would have looked like beyond what they were. But Chip Kelly was bigger than the moment in Philadelphia. He was smarter than everybody else in the building. Got rid of Deshaun Jackson, got rid of LaShawn McCoy. But the years that Shady gave you here was something special. You talk about that snow game. I can remember I'm on the field getting ready to do pregame shows for NBC Sports. And this forecast called for snow later in the day. But all of a sudden, the snow started coming down heavy by 11 a.m. By kickoff, man, you had like 10 inches of snow on the field. And we're thinking, this is going to be one of these low-scoring games. And all Shady did was run for over 200 yards against Detroit's defense in that game. And the thing that makes it so special is when you watch him cut and see how he cut on a slippery surface, it was like he was on dry land. There's very few backs, maybe like Gale Sayers, Barry Sanders, Shady McCoy, that can play on any type of surface with the type of moves they have and just make people look bad. And McCoy was a special back. I'm sure his career ended a little bit sooner than he wanted it to, but he got the most out of what they gave him.
In Philadelphia, certainly it
Absolutely.
ended prematurely.
Yeah.
Kiko Alonso. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. When we come back, we're going to continue to break down this Eagles victory today. Bottom line is, after all the smoke settles, after all the dust settles and the smoke clears, which is actually quite literal considering all the pyrotechnics at Lincoln Financial Field today, the Eagles come away with the victory. Now they got the Cowboys in front of them, and after that, they got the Washington Commanders. More on this win when we return on the betPARX postgame show presented by Parx Casino and Pond Lehocky. The Parx Casino Beer Garden. Enjoy a fine pint and take it a great game.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.
It's happening again. Those missed tackles are starting to stack up. Your friends pleading with players who can't hear them, sweating it out week after week. but not you. Why? Because whether they score or not, there's always another way to win on the betPARX app. New casino users score up to $1,000 bonus back in their first 24 hours.
At Pawn Lehocky, we're neither a pawn nor a hockey team. In fact, I don't even know how to skate.
Cut.
We're the injury law firm that you want fighting for you.
With our vast network of attorneys across the country, we know the playbook on injury law.
It's how Pond Lehocky recovered billions of dollars for more than 100,000 injured and disabled workers.
And we know we can do the same for you.
So give Pond Lehocky a call. No other law firm will fight harder for you.
And you'll never pay a dime until we win.
I'm in that mode. Stick to the code. I'm in my zone. Let's go. I'm back in my bag. I'm wrecking the wins and it's making them.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Stay at Home Home Care. Welcome back to the betPARX postgame show from Parx Casino in Ben Salem, presented by Pond Lehocky. Marc Farzetta, Seth Joyner, Derrick Gunn with you. Fellas, in our final segment here, we got some things to talk about when it comes to our takeaways from this game, game balls, and how about this? Giveaways. First round of giveaways to give away here on the show. We introduced it last week when it kind of looked like the Seth Joyner Home Shopping Network, and now we are delivering the goods to you, our fine listeners and followers of the Seth Joyner Show on YouTube. Make sure you guys like and subscribe on all social media platforms that are Seth Joyner. When it comes to the number one takeaways from this game, Derrick Gunn, I'll start with you. What's the number one takeaway after the Eagles come up with this win over Jacksonville?
That the defense had made big plays when it had to. It wasn't always pretty, but they got the necessary stops. You know, for a defense that just a couple of weeks ago that only had 2 turnovers the entire season, now the turnovers are starting to fall their way. You know, you got 2 linebackers, got 2 big interceptions in this game to change the momentum, one of which finished off the job. So we see these young guys that are still growing, not so much Bond. Bond's been around the league for a while, but the Nakobe Deans, these guys, Cooper DeJean, they keep making these plays when they have to. And to me, that's going to be huge because now they're done with the powder puffs. Now you got to step up in a weight class for the next several weeks.
Fair enough. I like it. The defense improvement. Seth Joyner, what are you looking at? What's your takeaway from this game?
My takeaway is today was an opportunity for this team to take another step in the right direction that got, arrested, if you will. I really think that this football team, when it's 100% healthy, it's at the point now where it's trying to grow, it's trying to evolve, and it's trying to get to a place where when we go into a game, there's not so much trepidation. There was no trepidation today. We felt like this team should have beat this team, and we feel like this team should beat Dallas while Dallas is on its skid. But they still got to go out and play. In a lot of ways, I just want to see the coaching staff help these players be the best that they can be. That starts with Nick Sirianni and his decision-making. It starts with Kellen Moore and his play calling, because there were some times today that I couldn't tell you that offense didn't look like the offense that it looked like last week. And I know that they're changing things up from time to time, trying to keep defenses, off balance. But we were talking about during the game that Jacksonville was playing a lot of cover too. And I said sometimes you have to flood the zone. Lo and behold, they come out 3-by-1 with Saquon Barkley, offset to the three receiver side. They flood the zone with the extra guy. There's not enough defenders in that zone. You can throw it to Saquon, and he's going to get you, 5 to 10 yards every single time that you throw it. They never came back to the play. I never saw that play ever again in this game. And to me, that kind of stuff can't happen when you find something that works. Now, if you want to do that, and now that the defense begins to adjust, and now you got a receiver, A.J. Brown, on the backside at the X receiver, got him one-on-one, you can run your slants on the look here and come back to the slant on the backside. But that play produced a good result, and they never came back to it. On the defensive side of the ball, I just like to see them stay aggressive at all times. Don't give no quarter. Don't give nothing, because they had a chance to have this team, rack up under 200 yards today. They really did. But they got conservative. As crazy as Nick's decisions were, they got even more conservative on the defensive side. And what I could see was Vic was trying to balance the whole thing out. Well, if he's going to act like an idiot, I got to act like the grown-up, And it just, that's what it looked like to me, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be complimentary football.
That's a great way to put it. If I have to take away anything from this one, it's actually extremely positive. Philadelphia Eagles, when it comes to talent, they got a damn good football team.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
When it comes to coaching, not so much. When you look at the play of Jalen Hurts today, you look at the play of Saquon Barkley today, you look at the way the offensive line was able to play at most moments of this game, the Eagles have a phenomenally talented football team. And I can say this, going up against the Washington Commanders in a couple weeks, they're the most talented team by far in the NFC East. Unfortunately, coaching matters, and it matters a lot. But in this particular game, the Eagles were able to overcome the ineptitude of their own head coach. And I hope that's the last time they have to do that. I hope it's the last time. I'm not betting on it, unfortunately. When it comes to game balls, fellas, let's give away our game ball. Seth Joyner, I'll go to you first. Who would you give a game ball to for his performance tonight?
So I was on the train of Jalen Hurts being the player to bank on. So I'm going to give Saquon my game ball because he was an absolute beast, an absolute animal tonight. And if he doesn't play the way that he plays, it's highly likely that Nick Sirianni would have really salted this game away. He would have gave this game away. It would have been another Atlanta Falcon type of loss. So I think I give him my game ball.
Game ball to Saquon Barkley. Gunner, where do you go?
I have to second that motion. I mean, he had 30 touches, 199 total yards. When he had that fumble that was not a fumble, should not have been called a fumble, he ran even harder. You could tell he was ticked off. He ran even harder, finished it off in style. Definitely give him the game ball today.
All right, I'm going to do what I like to do, which is go outside the box. I'm going to give a game ball to Jeffrey Lurie so he could bang it off the head of his head coach and hopefully knock something right.
Oh, my goodness.
How about that one?
Oh, my goodness.
All right, Seth, this is amazing. You introduced this last week, and this is so much fun for all the people that follow the show, for all the people that follow you. And in case you haven't done it yet, make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel, and also hit the notification button as well. And follow Seth Joyner on all social media platforms, even LinkedIn, as a matter of fact. So, Seth, we have some giveaways here that you want to shout out. Who do we have here?
So our winners for the Saquon Barkley jersey and the Seth Joyner throwback jersey are, well, this is the pro. Oh, there they are. Okay. Were they on there before? Or is this a different one?
Seth, this is a fantastic production crew we have. I haven't sung their praises enough.
They don't make mistakes.
Not even a beat.
They messed me up. Okay, so on IG, Jordan Kirk, at JKKOPKO, he is the winner of the Saquon jersey, Saquon Barkley jersey.
There you go.
Jessica, there is no last name there, at JP0Z24 on X. She is the winner of the Seth Joyner jersey. And I may switch that. I think I am going to switch that. I'm going to give the throwback jersey to Jordan, and Jessica's going to get the Saquon Barkley jersey. Now, I will direct message you guys to contact you, or have someone to contact you for where to send the jerseys to. Congratulations, you are the first winners. In 2 weeks, we'll have another winner, maybe two winners the next time. But we're going to continue to do this as a way to say thank you and appreciate you guys for tuning in. Not only tuning in to our show, which we are happy about, the growth and whatnot. Please continue to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. But also, you guys that look at our reels on YouTube, because we look there for people to choose from as well. For those of you that follow us on Instagram and Facebook, all of those different platforms, you guys are supporting us in those areas, and these are just giveaways to say thank you for your continued support. So look forward to more and more opportunities to win things. If you like me, I like a lot of stuff free. As a matter of fact, give me 3. But we're going to continue to do this throughout the year, And as long as we're doing the show, we're going to always appreciate you guys for supporting what we're doing.
Absolutely fantastic. So make sure you follow Seth Joyner on all social media platforms and, of course, right here on YouTube as well. And we do want to say thank you to the people watching on 6abc.com as well. Gentlemen, tomorrow, I guess, officially starts Cowboy Week.
Oh, it already started.
We're already underway.
Yeah.
We don't even get just to cherish this for a minute.
No.
We're right into Cowboy Week. All right.
No.
Early feeling going into Cowboy Week. Again, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, an extremely talented football team taking on a team. Now, look, the Eagles may be banged up as well. We don't know what the status is going to be. Again, for A.J. Brown, fingers crossed that he's fine and ready to go for Cowboy Week, the first meeting against the Cowboys this season. Also, C.D. Lamb, you guys mentioned it earlier in the show, banged up today. You're also looking at, unfortunately, Dak Prescott for the Cowboys being banged up. You always want to beat the Cowboys when they're at their best. It might not be the case, but then again, Eagles might not be at their best.
I don't care if it was the sister of the sacred. I'll take the W.
Beat that star off the helmet.
I'll take it. I mean, because everybody talked about Jalen. Oh, he has to have his weapons in order to win. And then you see all these other quarterbacks falter when they don't have their weapons. I'm not sympathetic towards them or anyone else because everybody's got to deal with their injuries. Just give our quarterbacks his props when he's playing well. He even had a great day today, and he only had A.J. Brown for, the first half. I don't even know how many catches did A.J. have today.
I think he had 3 catches for maybe 37 yards.
Yeah, I mean, so you talk about him being able to survive and thrive and whatnot.
2 for 36.
And there you go. And he still had a phenomenal day, 132 rating on the day in back-to-back weeks. So, listen, I don't have any sympathy for the Cowboys and what they're going through. Because we certainly went through enough of what we had to go through at the end of last year.
That's right.
And they are an absolute, what show with Jerry and what they're doing and the problems that they're having. And to be honest with you, couldn't happen to a better organization.
Gunner,
I like it.
Gunner, feeling okay about Cowboy Week?
No, because of the Eagles' recent history down in Dallas.
And what is that recent history, Derrick Gunn?
I think they've lost the last 6 games down in Dallas.
Gross.
If I'm not mistaken. It's going on paper. You don't play the game on paper, but on paper, the Eagles are a superior team. When you stack up injury for injury, the Eagles have their quarterback. Dallas may not have theirs. The Eagles don't have their number 1 tight end. They don't have their number 1 left tackle. They may not have Darius Slay for that game again. But the Eagles' depth.
Business as usual.
That's the second time he said that today. I have no part in that statement. I just want you to know right now. I feel good about the Eagles' chances of going down there. But when they go to Dallas, strange things happen, man. And so as we get closer to that game and find out who's up and who's down, I'll let you know at the end of the week or next Sunday on the pregame show exactly how I'm feeling.
Let me tell you something, D-Gun.
Yeah.
Dallas had won 19 straight games at home before they lost their first home game.
That's true.
This year. And I think they haven't won a home game this year.
Ooh.
Okay? So the Eagles played in Cincinnati last week, and they have never beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm talking about they've never gone to Cincinnati and beat that football team. So that myth was broken last week. The Cowboys' myth that they're unbeatable at home was broken last week. Now's about the time where, the Eagles need to go down to Dallas and beat the brakes off Dallas and beat this myth that, we lost 6 times in a row. We can't win in Dallas.
Right.
Yeah, you can. It happens this coming Sunday.
All right. I'm not disagreeing with
you. Look at that. On the highest of notes.
Yeah.
It's almost two wins in 1 week. What could beat that? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on the betPARX postgame show presented by Lehocky. For Eagles Hall of Famer Seth Joyner, for veteran Eagles reporter Derrick Gunn, my name is Marc Farzetta, for our fantastic production team and our social media coordinator Bailey Livesey. Thank you so much for joining us after your Philadelphia Eagles improved to 6-2 on the season. See you next week, Cowboys Week.
Way to go, Birds.